Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry is perhaps Nigeria's most significant private sector group, even if only because it's located in the nation's commercial level center, and of course draws its membership from that very crucial community. Please accept, Madam President, my commendation for this laudable initiative. I doubt whether there is any need to say that Nigeria in the past 15 to 18 months has gone through probably its most challenging period in recent history. Just by way of providing context, let me start by recalling some of the challenges that we encountered when we came into office in May last year, and others that have developed since. The immediate problem we encountered was a sharp decline in oil prices and production, and the lack of savings to cushion the impact. The crisis affected nearly all the sectors of the economy, as reflected in declining external reserves, scarcity of foreign exchange, fuel supply shortages, infrastructure problems, derelict infrastructure, especially the extensive power shortages, low investments in the oil and gas sector. As of May 2015, the IOCs claimed almost $8 billion in outstanding cash calls. Huge debts owed to the construction industry. The last estimates, the industry claimed something in the order of 400 billion naira in debts owed to it. With mounting salary arrears at the state and local government levels in particular, almost two-thirds of the states as of May 2015 owed salaries of, depending of course on the number of months, but owed salaries in varying degrees. Increasing unemployment and poverty levels, failing business confidence, and furthermore, the nation suffered from a vicious cycle of corruption, evidenced by huge leakages, financial, misdemeanors, and indiscipline. Insecurity, especially in the Northeast, elongated by the corruption in defense procurement. In the result, GDP declined from 6.3% in 2015 to 2.15% in 2014, to 2.15% in 2015. And of course, we know that as of Q1 2016, we are in minus 0.36%. FDI, which stood at about 395 million in Q1 2015, declined to about 175 million in the first quarter of this year. With the decline in the value of the naira, value of equities have also declined. As of May 2016, the market capitalization is something in the order of about 48 billion, down from about 84 billion, that's US dollars, in 2014. Inflation, we know, is now at about 16.5%. The depreciation of the naira, increase in importation costs due to scarcity of FX are some of the other problems that have accompanied that. Declining earnings from oil in the past 8 months due to vandalization of pipelines and export assets in the Niger Delta. Power output has also fallen from the historic high of about 5,000 megawatts in February of 2015, of February this year, to about 2,500 in recent times, on account of over 60% loss in gas production due to the vandalization of pipelines in the Delta. It was in order to tackle these problems that we undertook some specific interventions which were prioritized and reflected in various ways in the 2016 budget and its strategic implementation plan. Permit me to elaborate on some of the steps taken in this regard. In order to safeguard jobs and prevent further increases in unemployment. The federal government paid priority attention to assisting the states and local governments in paying of salaries of their workers, which were already, of course, several months in arrears. As at May 2015, as I've said earlier, almost 2/3 of the states owed workers' salaries. And we've had so far 3 such interventions or bailouts, as they are now called, including the latest, which is a loan of about 90 billion as part of a fiscal responsibility plan for the states. In order to access these funds, states are required to comply with a fiscal responsibility plan, which includes cleaning up of their payrolls, the use of TSA, and showing clear plans for improving IGR. These interventions have helped to boost household and social spending, which were key steps to prevent the economy from falling deeper into recession. Of course, many of the states still have problems with paying their salaries, and the problem has not disappeared on account of the interventions that the federal government has made. But we are committed to supporting the state governments, and especially where that is in keeping with the fiscal responsibility plan, which we have all agreed, all the states and federal government at the National Economic Council agreed to keeping to the plan, which ensures fiscal discipline, which ensures control of expenditure, plugging leakages, improving IGR, in order to ensure that whatever we spend, whatever is given to the states for purposes of ensuring payment of salaries, and in some cases even investment in infrastructure, that will be spent properly and will conduce to improving the overall economy. The deregulation of the downstream petroleum sector was also an important policy decision. Its immediate impact is the increased availability of PMS throughout the country. This has been achieved at a price of 145 naira per litre, as against well in excess of 200 naira per litre being paid in most parts of the country prior to deregulation. This action has also led to reduced daily demand for PMS, for which the daily demand has reduced from 1,600 trucks per day to 850 trucks per day. This has resulted in savings of about 1.4 trillion on subsidy payments, thereby conserving budget resources and reducing demand for foreign exchange required to import such volumes, which were also smuggled to neighboring countries because of the previous price differential. Of course, the medium to long term is to sort out the refineries. It's important, of course, to deal with the refineries because, as many of us, I'm sure, know, one of the largest foreign exchange costs for us is the importation of petroleum products. And at the moment, most of our refineries are, of course, functioning suboptimally. And there's very little, what we're able to refine is negligible compared to what it is that we require on a daily basis. So aside from waiting for the Dangote refinery, which is 650,000 barrels, we also intend to fix the existing refineries. And hopefully, we expect that by the end of 2017, most of the refineries will at least be functioning to some reasonable capacity. The recent introduction of a flexible exchange rate regime has helped to ease pressure on external reserves, and this of course is an issue that I'm sure many will still want to comment about. But I think it is true that the immediate effect, the devaluation and the depreciation of the naira, and some of the consequences, which include inflation, etc., are to be expected. And I believe that as we see the implementation of that policy and a clearer implementation of the policy, a clearer focus on a truly flexible exchange rate. We will be able to see the actual benefits of this policy. I believe that the foreign exchange market will stabilize, confidence will be restored, and that there will be an increase in the supply of foreign exchange, especially due to inward investments and increased receipts from non-oil exports. I think that, of course, many say that there has not been sufficient clarity in the way that the policy has been implemented so far. But I'm sure that many will also agree that in the past few weeks in particular, we are beginning to see a clearer approach to the implementation of the foreign exchange policy. And I think that as time goes on, this will even become more stable and definitely more consistent in the way that is implemented. We've also pledged to keep capital spending in the budget at a minimum of 30%. This is a target that we're determined to keep since it is investment that grows our economy, with another 100 billion naira set to be released in the next few days. The main sectors for which the funds have been released are power, works and housing, defense, transportation and agriculture. One of the first areas in which we've brought change is in public financial management. This has had a consequential effect of saving jobs as well as money. The reality is that every ghost worker eliminated at the federal level is a job saved. Other policy instruments used in this regard include the Treasury Single Account, which has brought transparency into inflows and outflows of government money. The ongoing implementation of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, IPIS, is bringing about monthly savings of 8 billion naira, while the creation of the efficiency units in the Ministry of Finance is projected to save 14 billion in the 2016 fiscal year alone. A lot of effort has been made to improve non-oil revenues, including bringing an additional 700,000 companies into the tax net in the past 15 months, compared to the target of 500,000 which was set at the beginning of the year. Non-oil revenue from both FIRS and customs have lagged behind somewhat in projections, in our budget projections, partly due to seasonal factors and prevalent economic conditions. But the FIRS has implemented the VAT Collect for auto tracking and remittance of VAT, and increased collaboration with state governments in tax collection. And in particular, this first half of the year, the FIRS has achieved close to 73% of its target for the first half of the year. Customs have undertaken substantial revision of incentives, control and enforcement measures. In deepening the diversification efforts, agriculture is, of course, a key priority. The obvious gains are food security and a reduction in the financial burden and pressure on foreign exchange from the importation of food that we can produce. The main problem of the agricultural sector is twofold. One is the inability to meet domestic food requirements. This is a productivity challenge driven by an input system and farming model that is likely inefficient. Inadequate seeds, fertilizers, irrigation problems, crop protection. The second is an inability to export at levels required for market success and to make a real difference in terms of contribution to revenues, especially foreign exchange revenues. And this is on account of an inefficient system for setting and enforcing food quality standards, poor knowledge of target markets, weak inspectorate system, and poor coordination amongst relevant agencies. The government has commenced the process of resolving many of these issues, and In particular, the government is committed to ensuring self-sufficiency in food production and being a net exporter of certain types of produce. In the area of rice, for example, wheat, sugar production, maize, beans, soya beans, millet, sorghum, fish, vegetable oils, meat, milk, fruits, and vegetables. In Kebbi State, for instance, there has been a substantial increase in rice yields as part of governmental efforts in this regard. Kebbi State was doing about 3.5 tons per hectare, and that has gone up to about 7.5 tons per hectare. We've seen something close to about 1 million metric tons of production from Kebbi State alone in the past season. Similarly, milled rice capacity is being increased from 3 million tons annually to 10 million tons of paddy annually. Going forward, the Ministry of Agriculture has published its roadmap, which is called the Green Alternative for Unlocking Growth in the Agricultural Sector. There are several steps that are being taken to ensure that that whole agro-allied value chain is given due attention, and in particular that we improve all of the processes for export, especially of vegetables and fruits. We of course realize that the private sector has been the engine of growth in any successful economy, and this is why we continue to support and encourage massive investments by private sector investors and key employers of labor, as demonstrated by our support for several of the major projects that are going on in the country at the moment. And of course, many have already cited the Dangote refinery, the fertilizer plants, the over 500 kilometers subsea pipeline, which we hope will, to a very large extent, help to solve some of the problems associated with vandalization of pipelines. The Indorama LMF petrochemical facilities, the Honeywell sorghum plant, as well as Golden Sugar and Savannah Sugar Project, several other sugar projects, the Dangote, and several others. Our intention with other solid minerals is to emulate what has already been achieved in turning limestone into cement. Recently, we settled the very long-running Ajaokuta problems, legal problems, and all manner of other ownership problems. And today we can report that Ajaokuta is back in the hands of the federal government, and we're about to advertise for private sector investment in the Ajaokuta factory. And the iron ore, the Itakwe iron ore mining facility will remain for about a 7-year period in the hands of the preferred bidder. And we expect that synergy will be one that will conduce to rapid development of our oil and steel industry. The promotion of MSMEs in particular by targeted low interest intervention funds is also an important policy measure. And BOI and the CBN are committed and have in fact committed funds to MSMEs in the country generally. I think I might just come back to that before I'm through with this. A cornerstone of our economic policy is the focus on infrastructural investments, especially power, roads, rail, and airports, just to mention a few. Just to mention a few of them, the Abuja-Kaduna Standard Gauge Rail Line is now up and running, while work is underway with regard to the first leg of the Lagos-Kano Railway, which will run from Lagos to Ibadan, from the Lagos ports, from the ports in Lagos to Ibadan, and the Calabar-Lagos line, which will start from the Calabar end. On road rehabilitation, government has paid 70 billion to contractors who have not been paid in over 2 years, with over 70 construction firms benefiting. This has resulted in the call of not less than 5,000 workers. Indeed, work has also started on sections of the Kano-Katsina, Kano-Maiduguri roads, the Ilorin-Jeba, and the Lagos-Ibadan roads should begin in earnest. We're all witnesses to the fact that the power situation had started to improve when this administration came into office. As a matter of fact, the output rose from January to May 2015 from 3,665 megahertz to as high as 5,000 megahertz in February 2016. The situation has, however, become more challenging by the spate of insecurity in the Niger Delta, impacting on the supply of gas for electricity generation. The sabotage of the Forcados export terminal alone cost the loss of 40% of gas supply to power plants. However, efforts are underway to continue to diversify sources of energy, including hydro, coal, and solar, amongst others. Recently, we signed agreements with 14 solar companies, and this is expected to add over 1,000 megawatts to the national grid. In addressing the intolerably high levels of poverty and especially youth unemployment, the federal government established the most far-reaching social intervention program yet. 500 billion is provided in the current budget for social investments. This includes the homegrown school feeding, conditional cash transfers, microcredit loans to 1 million market women and artisans, technology training for 65,000 young people, the 500,000 teacher corps who will be trained and paid over for a period of 2 years. Many will be engaged in teaching, some will be engaged in extension farm work, and as public health officials. And we can report that as of today, current applications on the Empower website for recruiting young graduates to some of these programs have reached somewhere close to 1 million. The delivery model that we're using, of course, relies on private sector participation across the entire value chain. These measures which I've outlined generally will be accompanied by improvements in soft infrastructure of rules and processes by removing red tape and other impediments to doing business. By this I mean that it will become easier. This is why the President has approved the establishment of the Presidential Council on the Ease of Doing Business. And that Presidential Council has already started to meet. We intend in the next couple of weeks to release a broad set of guidelines on what steps will be taken and what steps will be, and how quickly those steps will be implemented. We intend to draw up timelines to ensure that there is adequate accountability as to what is done and how quickly this is done. We've been talking to the states at the level of the National Economic Council and at consultations with individual states to ensure that we are able to deliver on such matters as land titles and development control permits. We think that it's absolutely important that in order to deliver on our ease of doing business, that the states collaborate with us effectively. And we've received firm commitments from the states that they will work with us closely to ensure that we're able to deliver on our promises on the ease of doing business. The present administration is a strong believer in public-private sector dialogue. We've scheduled periodic meetings with the private sector to ensure quality feedback and to make the policy process inclusive. We will institutionalize a quarterly business briefing as a means of making permanent this policy dialogue starting next month. We fully realize that our plans have to continue, to be able to rapidly implement these plans, we must ensure consistency, and we must ensure that we are focused. We are firmly convinced that the Nigerian economy is resilient and it will surely turn the corner. Our economy is robust. We have incredibly innovative and dynamic entrepreneurs. We have a vibrant market. We have the tremendous resource endowments, and we have an uncontested reputation for hard work. On the part of the government, our task is clear: to ensure security, fight corruption, and improve the economy and the business environment. Our immediate tasks are to achieve: 1, to reduce fiscal and foreign exchange imbalances, to boost dollar liquidity, curb inflation, lower interest rates, and ensure lending to the real sector. Increase FDI and FPI by sustaining enabling policies, encourage PPPs and other collaborative commercial engagements with the private sector to deepen diversification, create jobs directly and indirectly, and reduce poverty. These challenges are significant, but the opportunities to get it right are even more significant. For us, focus, steadfastness, and consistency are crucial. Finally, let me thank the Lagos Chamber of Commerce once again for organizing this dialogue session and assure you that the government is committed to engaging the private sector in line with all of what is considered best practice in this respect. I thank you